How strong is Azathoth, the demon sultan? Let's see how powerful this entity is, and does his cosmology satisfies to tackle higher cosmology? It is a vivid and somber depiction of a dystopian world that signifies the end of humanity. Throughout the text, there is a pervasive sense of despair and futility, highlighting the futility of human efforts and existence. The character's action of reaching for a chain and bucket only to slip and fall serves as a symbolic representation of humanity's ultimate failure and feelings of helplessness. The passage explores the desolation and bleakness of a world where human endeavors have reached a point of no return. The narrative paints a desolate and lifeless picture of Earth, suggesting that there is no longer a need for the sun or stars. The imagery conveys a sense of a world that has lost all vitality and purpose, potentially indicating a state of environmental or ecological collapse, or perhaps a spiritual or existential despair. The passage might reflect a critique on the destructive influence of humanity, or a reflection on the transitory nature of existence and the fragility of life. The mention of grass reigning over the blankness, that in the absence of human life, nature has reclaimed the environment. However, even this is portrayed as bleak and uninviting, perhaps conveying a sense of sterility or barrenness in the absence of human influence. The image likely implies a disconnect from the natural world and a loss of the vitality and diversity that human presence once brought. A rich metaphors and evocative language to convey a sense of hopelessness and loss, intensifying the emotional impact. The poetic rhythm adds musicality and resonance to the narrative, enhancing the overall effect and creating a sense of artistic beauty amid the bleakness. The metaphors serve to create powerful imagery and deepen the emotional resonance, guiding the reader through the narrative. The result is a passage that is not only emotionally affecting, but also aesthetically pleasing. The closing image of light finding its way to a weary figure lying in the slime could suggest a faint possibility of continuation or a new beginning despite the overarching bleakness. This subtle yet poignant note offers a hint of hope amidst the desolate landscape, implying that even in the face of overwhelming despair, there may be the potential for renewal or transformation. It is a powerful and evocative depiction of a dystopian future, replete with vibrant imagery and profound existential themes. It delves into the demise of humanity and the apparent meaninglessness of existence, yet, at the same time, it hints at the possibility of something beyond the apparent finality, a contemplative musing on the limitations of human comprehension and the possible perils of obtaining knowledge. It proposes that our inability to fully understand everything might actually be a form of benevolence, as the realness of our existence in the enormity of the universe could be overwhelmingly disconcerting. Though science has not posed significant harm thus far, the passage implies that a time may come when all the scattered fragments of knowledge we have gathered could unveil a truth so formidable that it might drive us to insanity or propel us into a metaphorical dark age. So a thoughtful, introspective dialogue that touches upon profound existential themes. Kul, having traversed the enigmatic door, seeks understanding of his predicament. An old man with whom he encounters offers a perspective that challenges typical understandings of time and space by positing them as illusions. The conversation engages in the cyclical essence of existence, the evolution of beings from primitive stages to elevated levels of comprehension, and the eventual downfall that ensues. The reflection suggests that all life is a constituent part of a colossal interconnected cycle, wherein creation and destruction are inextricably linked. Claims Northam's sense of disillusionment with the tangible world, his constant pursuit of the arcane and the occult, and his existential crisis. It encapsulates Lord Northam's quest to find a deeper sense of meaning in life, suggesting a profound belief in hidden dimensions and an inherent link to an expansive cosmos. This passage illustrates Northam's belief in the existence of forces and realms beyond our mundane comprehension. Robert's disorienting and surreal ordeals in a fourth-dimensional space. This space is portrayed as a portrayal of our familiar world, but with differing laws and interpretations. Scenes flow and morph into each other, with objects potentially lacking physicality altogether. The notion of movement and sensory encounters in this dimension is distinctly foreign and perplexing, thereby testing Robert's perception of reality in profoundly unexpected ways. So basically, a meticulous snippet from a literary work that delves into the themes of alternate dimensions and the pursuit of knowledge transcending customary human limits. It introduces characters involved in practices that blur the boundaries between science and magic, thereby laying the groundwork for a narrative that chronicles the exploration of otherworldly realms. It depicts a wise figure who imparts deep insights into the essence of existence and the cosmos. Cole, disoriented and perplexed, struggles to make sense of his surroundings and the reality he is currently immersed in. As Cole engages in a dialogue with this sagacious entity, he seeks clarity and an understanding of the unfamiliar realm he has stumbled upon. The ancient figure elucidates that Cole is currently situated in a different universe, one that does not operate according to the same physical or temporal laws as his own world. This implies the possibility of a multiverse or alternate dimension theory, suggesting that the universe is far broader and varied than Cole previously imagined. The wise character articulates the relative nature of size and space, suggesting to Cole that his perception of reality could merely be a minute portion of a far more expansive rather than material riches or superficial understanding. It says that in the vast and comprehensive cosmology, material possessions and wealth are ultimately inconsequential. What holds far greater relevance, as illustrated, is the relentless quest for knowledge and enlightenment. Ancient pointing out into the distance, directing Cole's attention to what appears to be stars or blazing gems. This imagery symbolizes the vastness and beauty of the universe, as well as the endless possibilities for exploration and discovery. Here's a small story like, let's try to understand it in the easiest way. As I lay, my eyes flew open. I was not beneath the tree. I was sprawled on a rocky slope, my clothing torn and disordered. My hands were bleeding. I stood up, pain stabbing through me. I recognized the spot, the ridge where I had first seen the blasted area. I must have walked miles, unconscious. The tree was not in sight, and I was glad. Even the knees of my trousers were torn, as if I had crawled part of the way. Randolph Carter encounters something horror and even higher. It explores the concept of an individual manifesting in multiple forms over diverse epochs and locales, and the profound terror that is inexorably tethered to this comprehension. The narrative masterfully evokes a sense of unease and the Herculean task of comprehending one's fragmented identity when confronted with unintelligible realities. Randolph Carter's situation in a vast, expansive void, which generates a profound feeling of isolation and diminutiveness. The quietness is perturbing, intensifying the ominous and otherworldly ambiance. Even in the seemingly desolate void, Randolph Carter is keenly cognizant of the presence of the being, hinting at an entity of colossal force and enlightenment. Carter chooses not to withdraw, signifying his tenacity and bravery in the face of the incomprehensible. As Carter makes his resolve, he is imbued with an overwhelming amount of knowledge from the being, vastly broadening his perception beyond the constraints of human understanding. Human perception is constrained and unable to fully apprehend the genuine amplitude of the universe. The narrative ventures into the fear and anxiety that often accompany encountering the incomprehensible and realizing the triviality of human concerns. Randolph Carter's experience exemplifies the ceaseless quest for knowledge and the ambition to understand the vast and unfathomable cosmos. The being and the knowledge it imparts symbolize domains and beings that transcend human comprehension. Randolph Carter discerns impressions that are translated into words, but he also senses a plethora of other sensations that transcend verbal description. This indicates a realm of existence wherein language and comprehension are rendered redundant. The mysterious phenomena, coupled with a profound recognition of cosmic horror, are derived from the eldritch tomes Necronomicon and references to Azathoth, the demon sultan. Past all these gorgeous lands, the malodorous ship flew unwholesomely, urged by the abnormal strokes of those unseen rowers below. And before the day was done, Carter saw that the steersman could have no other goal than the basalt pillars of the west, beyond which simple folk say splendid Cathuria lies, but which wise dreamers well know are the gates of a monstrous cataract, wherein the oceans of Earth's dreamland drop wholly to abysmal nothingness, and shoot through the empty spaces toward other worlds and other stars, and the awful voids outside the ordered universe, where the demon Sultan Azathoth gnaws hungrily in chaos amid pounding and piping and the hellish dancing of the other gods, blind, voiceless, tenebrous, and mindless, with their soul and messenger Nyarlathotep. Randolph Carter encounters a harrowing experience while climbing a ladder in an almost lightless chamber. Overwhelmed by intense sensory input, he witnesses surreal and phantasmagorical images and endures a scorching blast of heat. The narrative hints at the chaotic and unfathomable character of the universe, symbolized by Azathoth, the blind idiot god, and his mindless dancers. A sudden, penetrating sound from the outside world, probably a firework, disrupts his meditative state, bringing him back to reality, causing him to scream in terror and stumble blindly in the darkened chamber. This illustrates the tenuous partition between reality and the dreadful unknown, or it's something else. He begins to climb the ladder, moving towards an area with a stronger, unpleasant smell and a hot, searing blast of air. As he climbs, he experiences a barrage of phantasmal images, which occasionally dissolve into visions of a vast, dark abyss filled with whirling suns and worlds. Cthulhu mythos has described an entity, blind idiot god, surrounded by mindless dancers and lulled by the monotonous piping of a demonic flute. And if he wakes up, all the existence will cease to exist. This symbolizes the chaotic and incomprehensible nature of the universe. A sharp sound from the outside world, possibly a firework, breaks through the character's trance. This sudden intrusion of a familiar sound disrupts his horrific experience and reminds him of the real world. He, with utter horror, shrieking aloud, dropping from the ladder and stumbling blindly across the obstructed floor of the chamber. The passage captures the character's terrifying journey through a dark, chaotic environment, his encounter with cosmic horror, and the abrupt return to reality triggered by a familiar sound. This highlights the thin veil between the known world and the terrifying unknown. It explains on the nature of reality, suggesting that our understanding of the universe is limited to mere shadows of a much larger and more complex multidimensional existence. It implies that true reality is far beyond human comprehension, and what we perceive as real may just be an illusion and is beyond the reachless height of archetypal infinity. It describes the encounter with cosmic entities and the revelation of a vast, incomprehensible universe. It suggests that our known reality is just a small part of an infinitely larger cosmos, and that certain beings from other dimensions occasionally focus their thoughts on our world. The planet Yuggoth serves as a gateway to these beings, and the protagonist feels a connection to this greater reality that few others have experienced. On the journey, Hypnos went to the Azathoth's court and completely ended up losing his mind after seeing the demon sultan, and never wakes up again. The entity dies after what he saw. After this story, Randolph Carter decided to do the same too and wanted to see what lies beyond this world. He made up to the Azathoth's court, but he doesn't die, explaining and exploring the vastness and complexity of the universe, and has been granted profound knowledge about it. The statement goes on to suggest that there is a contrast between the infinite nature of the universe and the limited scope of human understanding and concerns, suggesting that the human mind may not be capable of comprehending the infinite vastness and complexity of the universe. The overall impression is that the character has been granted knowledge beyond human comprehension and is attempting to understand the true nature of the universe. Cube-like artifact that was kept by ancient beings for scientific experimentation. The cube was later lost in chaos and war, and 50 million years ago, the beings sent their minds into the future, making the cube's location unknown. The passage then mentions an occultist's account of the Eldtown shards and a character named Campbell, who is shocked by the accurate description of the cube and questions whether his experience was real or a nightmare. Campbell also notes his current state of being bodiless, suggesting that he is not in his usual physical body, a narrative that delves into themes of cosmic horror and the supernatural. It describes Edward's increasingly frequent and concrete hints about otherworldly experiences and knowledge. He talks about secret meetings and ancient ruins that suggest a connection to other dimensions or realities. The mention of complex angles and invisible walls could be metaphors for understanding or accessing these other places. The objects he presents are described as alien and incomprehensible, reinforcing the theme of the unknown. Ephraim Waite seems to be a character who might have some connection to these mysteries, possibly through the college library. It suggests the contents of some letters written by a character named Akeley, which supposedly describe his knowledge of cosmic horrors and a pact with outside things. It goes on to suggest that Akeley knows the origins of Cthulhu, the Necronomicon, and other mythological beings, implying a connection between Akeley and some dark cosmic secrets. And also mentions that the narrator, who is supposedly reading these letters, is reluctant to believe in these horrors, and that Akeley may have communicated with these outer ones and is planning to visit them. It discusses the limitations of human knowledge and the existence of a deeper, more profound reality that goes beyond human understanding. It suggests that humans occasionally catch glimpses of this reality, but that these glimpses are usually dismissed without thought, and that even those who seek to deeply understand the deeper nature of reality are laughed at by superior beings. Before we move further, I want to say that most of you who watch my videos aren't actual subscribed, so if you like the content and you want to support the channel, go and hit the subscribe button and bell. But you can always change your mind later. Enjoy the video. It delves into themes of altered reality and the supernatural. It describes a profound and unsettling dream or revelation that challenges the narrator's understanding of existence, suggesting an encounter with otherworldly dimensions and the character Robert Grandison's entrapment within them. The certainty of the experience upon awakening implies a blurring of the lines between dream and reality. The passage is a reflective narrative where the author describes vivid inward visions experienced during a state akin to sleep. These visions are more vivid and meaningful than reality, surpassing even the golden world of childhood. The author struggles to capture these visions in writing, comparing them to a grail for the holy spirits of the medieval world. The author reflects on their time in Elston, where they attempted to capture the elusive shadow world in their mural design, despite the challenges and strain on their health. It basically says Karain's revisiting his childhood world in a dream, walking through familiar yet decayed places and feeling a profound sense of emptiness. He eventually recognizes the place as Celephaïs, a city he dreamt of in his youth, and feels awakened after finding it again after many years. The passage describes Karain's fruitless search for Celephaïs and his attempts to extend his dreams with drugs. He encounters a violet-colored gas that explains the nature of the space he's in, devoid of familiar physical laws. Eventually, Karain's runs out of resources, but finds fulfillment as he is met by knights from Celephaïs, who come to take him to the city he longed for. How do I say this? So it suggests a theoretical concept where advanced mathematical knowledge could enable a person to travel to other celestial bodies by stepping outside of our conventional three-dimensional space and then back into it at a different point. This idea is presented as being beyond the current scope of human understanding and capability, and it implies a non-lethal method of space travel. Similarly, conveys a dreamlike vision of an otherworldly realm filled with harmonious sounds and a magnificent display of beauty that seems both ethereal and fiery. The narrator experiences a profound connection to this realm, feeling as though it is both familiar and eternal. Really, Karain's dreamlike return to his childhood world, culminating in the rediscovery of Celephaïs, a city from his youthful dreams. It captures a sense of nostalgia, loss, and the bittersweet nature of returning to one's past, only to awaken once again to reality. It describes the narrator's oppressive vigil, leading to reflections on time and space, and culminating in the detection of a mysterious, insistent sound from the northeast. Clocks, time, space, and infinity. This is a city of dreamlike splendor, where its inhabitants live in harmony with the beauty around them. It suggests a narrative where the protagonist, Randolph Carter, has dreamed so vividly and well that he has created a city that has captivated the gods themselves, drawing them away from the world of men. The city is a product of Carter's imagination, surpassing all other imagined phantoms. The passage describes Barzai's encounter with the gods on Akeley, his subsequent disappearance, and Atal's terrifying experience of witnessing the other gods and the villagers' reaction to the strange events. So here again, Karains, a character who is excited to meet a guest from the waking world, as they share a common background of being dreamers and having explored incredible dreamlike places. Karains is notable for having ventured into the ultimate void beyond the stars and returning sane. It beautifully explains a scene from a narrative where the character Barzai the Wise attempts to see the gods of Earth on the peak of Akeley during a ceremonial event. Despite warnings, he climbs the mountain and seemingly encounters otherworldly entities, resulting in his disappearance. The story conveys themes of forbidden knowledge and the consequences of hubris. Most intense part, Randolph Carter's surreal and cosmic journey through voids of sentient blackness, encountering gods and otherworldly entities, and ultimately returning to a cherished city from his dreams. This is insane. As he bathed and changed clothes, the character tried to recall the dream's details, but the scene was elusive, and his imagination was overwhelmed by the vast, twilight abysses and alien forms he encountered. Despite the haziness of his memory, he recognized elements from the Necronomicon about Azathoth and the chaotic nature of the universe. Character's terrifying experience in a dark, oppressive environment, where he envisions phantasmal images and recalls legends of Azathoth. A sudden noise breaks his stupor, leading to a panicked reaction. Azathoth, the Lord beyond all things in this existence, but something beyond more exists. The passage details the protagonist's experience with Erich Zann, a musician whose eerie music captivates and unsettles him. Zann's garret room and his intense, otherworldly performances are described, creating an atmosphere of mystery and disquiet. Now the protagonist's encounter with Erich Zann, whose music evokes a sense of otherworldly horror. The protagonist's attempts to engage with Zann lead to a moment of fearful revelation as Zann writes a note to communicate the unspeakable terrors he has experienced. A brief summary. Azathoth rules everything and is stated as beyond maths and physics, so basically Dreamland have the same numbers of planets than Earth. Azathoth Court is transcended to it, so in other earlier stages it will count as beyond RF transcendence. In comparison to Gates, Azathoth's court is like infinity, and there exists a archetypal infinity of it. Beyond the gates exists the archetypes Azathoth, often depicted as a supreme deity, resides at the center of the court of Azathoth as the ruler of all existence. The court of Azathoth operates based on laws of physics and mathematics, entirely foreign to any conceivable cosmos, encompassing both the dreamlands and physical reality. Azathoth is positioned at the center of the court of Azathoth, and he is at center of the universe. 2. Azathoth is the ruler of all existence, holding absolute authority over all realms. 3. In unknowable physics and mathematics, the court of Azathoth operates on 4. Azathoth is described as residing at the center of the court of Azathoth and ruling over all of existence. 5. The court of Azathoth represents the space or dimension where Azathoth resides. In conclusion, Azathoth is a very powerful entity in the Thulu mythos, surpassing the most complex structures in the verse. Anyways, the SCP Foundation scale has been delayed, but I'll cover something different or the same. If you liked the video, make sure to drop a subscribe for Azathoth. Peace.